And I'm curious to know what your thoughts are around, and people ask me often, like, how do you know when a relationship is done? How do you know when? And I feel like it ties into what you're saying right now, but I think it may nuance it even more. How do you know when a relationship or a marriage is over, when it's done? How do you know when to leave? And then the opposite side of the question would be,
if you have to ask, the question, it's not done. If you have to ask the question, it's not done, because there's a part of you that's in uncertainty. If you're avoiding them because of absolute, you can't handle it, it's overwhelming, it's burnout to you, you're going to leave. You're not going to sit there on the fence with it. You're just going to move on. My advice is to go through and actually, I teach the Demartini Method. I have them go through that and make sure they clear the baggage that they've accumulated. Because most people accumulate baggage by comparing their relationship to fantasies year after year after year. And all those things eventually create these massive wounds that block the intimacy. My first advice is to go clear that. That's the first thing. And link values. Take the top 3 values of the individual and the top 3 values of them and sit down and do a massive linking process. How specifically is what they're dedicated to helping me fulfill what I'm dedicated to, and how is what I'm dedicated to help them fulfill with theirs? And start making the links and reestablish. If you see more support than challenge, you're going to be infatuated. You see more challenge and support to your values, you're going to be resentful. If you put a balance to them, you're going to end up with love. So you can reestablish that with people, and that'll be the first place to go. And sometimes I've actually mediated separations where people were not upset with each other. It wasn't an upsetness. They're moving on because they feel complete. They realize. I've actually mediated complete relationships where there was no anger. There was a very deep hugging and close tear-jerking experience saying goodbye to each other. I've seen that when both feel that there's a new chapter in their life. They're wanting to go on. And I've seen that. But most of the time, you just have built up fantasies that have been eroded by reality. And instead of breaking through your fantasies and growing up, you holding on to your childhood fantasies and searching for the next fantasy. And sometimes you have to go through the next relationship and find that out. And then you end up in the scenario again. Maybe you'll learn the lesson that time. But I think that doing the Demartini Method, which is owning everything you see in them and then making a link between values, is the first place to go. And most of the time, that gives you a centered answer where you don't have to sit there with the uncertainty. If you have uncertainty, you have emotions, and emotions aren't true decision-making processes.
Yes. And that kind of goes into
the subjective biases.
Yes.